This presentation will shine a light and share the historic connection between the Spirit of David Dance Theater, the African Hebrew Israelite Community of Dimona, Israel, and Ms.Katherine Dunham.
One of my big things in life, I like to see people develop, an individual or a group. I like to see them begin to blossom. And I think we have so little of this. Most people live and go through life, have a family, and die, you know. And I think that the whole thing of being able to feel I am, and I am this, and I want to show this, I want to be this, and really blossom as a person or as a community. Now I feel I'm looking at communities, and the healthy community is the community that feels that it's worthwhile, that it's doing something. And so this is my life. I can only exist where this feeling of accomplishment is foremost in people's minds.
With the The Spirit of David Dance Company was born out of a presentation that was done on New World Passover, one of our holy day season, where the Academy of Performing Fine Arts performed for New World. And it was viewed by the saints. And one of our sisters, Yifa, who's better known as Tony Luck, viewed it. And after that, she was so appreciative and so happy about it that she began to work with the director at that time, which was Sganeet Toomahyah, Deputy Minister of Education for our community, and began to work and change the name from the Academy of Performing Fine Arts to the Spirit of David. We knew how to dance, but we needed some more of the cultural exchange of the various techniques of style of different dances. Ballet, African, tradition, Caribbean, and she wanted us to learn how to deal with the techniques. So when we traveled in July of 2003, we traveled to New York. New York was our first stop, and there we spent 3 weeks in different training with different individuals like Arthur Mitchell, Phyllis Stickney, George Faison, I.C. Davis, Ruby D, and others that we actually went and spent most of our time at the African Theater in New York, where we learned and had seminars with various outstanding African American icons.
The Spirit of David Dance Company was, I feel, one of the most professional productions put together by our community. It was an opportunity for young people within our community to be put on an international stage, which was such an achievement at that time. It was a group of young people that were allowed to fully express themselves and sort of become a family and find that thing that made them special. The Spirit of David Dance Theater wrote the guidelines for what was termed African Hedonic dance, which for me was a mixture of contemporary and traditional African dance with some ballet infusions. It was the focus of this form of dance was expression and expressing a life-giving sort of culture and how we would express that through dance. I feel like the Spirit of David was the company that really laid the foundation of what African Hedonic dance should be or could be, or was a building block for us to continue to develop on.
I joined the Spirit of David in '99, and that's what we were taught. We were the ambassadors of our community, of our culture through dance. So a lot of our pieces had a lot to do with the different traditions and cultural festivities that pertain to our culture. So it was a form of giving praise to the Most High. African Hedonic is a phrase that we use here in the African Hebrew Israelite Community. If you're familiar with the word Eden, which was the Garden of Eden, Israel is a part of Africa. When we say African Hedonic, it's a geographical location first, and that means all the region of the land of Israel. So that's from the Nile to the Euphrates. So that's the Edenic land.
The Spirit of David Dance Company for me was an awakening, a realization of the impact of dance. I've always danced, but bringing the Spirit of David and creating it, helping to be one of those who choreographed and created, it was a moment to realize what I wanted to be, who I wanted to be. And the most important part, it taught me self-expression. It taught me how to connect physically, emotionally, mentally with my body, my movement, my mind, and allow all of it together to surface. So through Spirit of David is Toomahyah, Spirit of David is Yifa, Spirit of David is Elimelech, Spirit of David is Hananel. And I literally say that because Spirit of David is all of us that represented, it was family. The artistic director of Spirit of David was Ms. Toomahyah, Bat Israel, a legend in her own right. She came from a family of dancers. Yeah. Toomahyah is the spirit of dance and the embodiment of movement and soul for me. She's my mother.
She was the essential part of our community as relates to dance and teaching dance. And her desire was to create the African culture with everything, not just the dance, with the dress of the dance. She was like a mother, a teacher. Her whole desire was to reach and try to create positive energy, and she did, within the image of our youth. And not just in the area of dance, but in the area of theater, to embrace the youth and have the youth be proud of who they are and their traditions and their culture, and not be afraid to exhibit that.
And then, she's always worked with the children. She's always been really, really close with the children and the youth. And when I seen the Spirit of David first ensemble, and I went to her and I was like, I want to be a part of this ensemble. And she was like, absolutely, come on. And then just since then, it's just always teaching, guiding, very motherly, just really upfront. You can ask her anything, she gonna tell you about it. And she want you to come and ask her anything. She didn't like us to kind of like figure out stuff. No, just ask me and I'll tell you. So, she played a really, really huge part of my life. I would say like late teens, early 20s, young adult, and, just very dear to me.
As we grew within the program, she grew with us to the point where I began to want to go back into competitive gymnastics. So she proceeded to find me a program in Israel and liaised with the coaches to get me up there and even somewhere to stay when I was there, that kind of thing. And then when I was leaving Israel to come to university in London, she took her time to prepare several references. She gave me a whole portfolio of my work with Spirit of David, and that in turn helped me get jobs when I came to London. And it was just, again, the professionalism, because that was something that was lacking within our community. We had so much talent. The talent pool in Dimona is just ridiculous, as you know. So the fact that they were able to mold that into something like this, we just learned so much, to the fact that any one of us can start our own program to this day. Look at Kananel, for example. Look at me in London. I do kids activities over here. So just seeing the level at which she was able to put together performances, it just taught me so much. And the fact that she cared so much about us and was willing to invest so much of her time and money into us, it was just, she was a Morah. She was a Morah, a Doda, a Ima at times. And just the fact that she danced with us too, you could see that she loved it and she was sharing her love of something with us. I feel like everybody should do or contribute to the whole based on what they love. And when it's coming from a place of love, it just shows up different. So just watching how she danced with her daughter, she danced with us, and how she was able to mold what she loved into something that benefited us and the wider community. She seemingly did everything with ease. She moved through the world with ease almost. She had such a bouncy, positive nature. I loved how she dressed so loosely. She was just so natural. Such a beautiful woman. Yeah, so forever indebted to her and her family.
Catherine Dunham, at the time, we were trying to make contact with her when we was in New York. And so we understand she has some medical challenge at the time. We actually went to her home, and Ifa began to explain the children, the history of our community, and that what the children were doing, and that and she began to share her history. It was similar to us because she struggled but she struggled so that the children can be who they are at that time. And we explained how we struggle as a community. It was some relationship there of how we got to be where we are. She was just proud to see that after 30 something plus years that she can see a African group that's been dancing for years as youngsters. So this is how we initiated, and then we invited her to one of the dance presentations later on.
I remember just it being such a big moment for Toomahyah. She had continuously talked to us about Katherine Dunham and her impact on dance within American culture, and how this had sort of formulated again the way she dances. So I think my memories of that moment were more formed by Toomahyah's need for us to meet her and making sure that that was something that would happened while we were in America. I felt it was important and that we needed to be sort of on our best behavior while we were taking pictures. I saw how significant it was both to Toomahyah and Imayifa. So it was dealt with very orderly, but also with lots of love and reverence. So they had us, meet her. I think we were able to be introduced individually because I remember feeling really special when it was my turn to say my name and see her, and she looked at me. But yeah, it was very ordered in the way in that we didn't just all crowd over her and so try to get a hug. It was dealt with very well, and she was just really loving. She was just loving. Like you could tell she really enjoyed watching dancers, especially young dancers. Yeah, so it was definitely a special moment.
We were super, super, super excited. I remember we got on the bus and we went to her apartment. At the time, it was in New York, and it was a big group. So we were all like crammed in her house. So I kind of felt a little embarrassed about that. But she was super, super sweet, very eager to hear and, just listen to us because, I guess we were kind of unique as well, being from the community, traveling to the States, and most of the cast had never been to America.
For someone who was born and raised in Israel, and being that was my first time going to America, we got to meet Ms. Dunham and a number of other great, great activists in the Black community. So to actually go to her home, and we were all so excited, and we were like little kids in the candy store, everybody quiet and looking around, and she was such a sweet woman who sat on the chair, and she asked all little questions. And are you okay? Do you need anything? Is you to bring them some water? Everybody's we fine, we fine, we fine. And she talked to us, and we were asking questions. More so, Toomahyah was guiding the questions to ask Miss Dunham different things of her life, and she came alive as she explained her journey and how she had been all over the world and investigated and searched and researched her different forms of dance to create this profound technique. Now, if I look back, a lot of people didn't have this opportunity, and to know that I had this opportunity was absolutely amazing. I don't think as youngsters we understood the value of that. We only learned that afterwards. It is an enrichment program. It was something that left a mark, and to be able to actually see that living legend and put a face, a name, a spirit, an energy to a dance form, to understand that it didn't fall from the sky. Someone actually put their blood, sweat, and tears to create something that will make me an awesome dancer. It's just amazing that all these different things actually came from this person, and to see that this living legend was talking to me like my mom. And it's such a great, awesome experience. And then for her to show up at the performance afterwards and gave us a standing ovation, I think most of us almost peed our pants. Man, and it was amazing. It was one of the best experiences. I remember George Faison. We were doing some classes with him, and he was like, "Now y'all not gonna make it ever." Like the whole company, the Dance Spirit of David, because he's trying to give us certain different lifts and things that we weren't really comfortable with. It was new for us, so we were messing up, and he was like, "No, y'all not gonna make it." And then he came to the performance as out of respect. At the end of the performance, he was on his feet standing, and he had tears in his eyes, and was like, these aren't the same dancers that was in my studio last Friday. It was just amazing, and to see the love, the care, and to understand that we had actually received something that we didn't understand the value of what we had received through Ms. Toomahyah, which came from Ms. Dunham. I mean, if you could have experienced that I had, and it marked me for life.
We did a suite called Eternal, which was based on the album that our sister Adaya wrote with members of the community. We did the gospel suite with the various gospel songs. We did a suite from African slave era. It was a 2-hour dance presentation. We invited her and others of that magnitude, actors and actresses. It was a professional performance that was put on by us. I remember the exact words after the performance that Katherine Dunham said, all the years of her life in dancing, she has never witnessed one group dance for 2 hours straight in different suites without changing. Because this person does this suite, this person does this one, this one. She was just astonished about the creativity, the energy, the motivation, and the zeal that she never seen in young people. She said all of her life, this is what God wanted her to see. It did something to the children, because sometimes when you're in something, you don't see how good you are until you on the outside, someone tell you how you are. Even the trainers, George Faison, Arthur Mitchell, Phyllis Stigney, because in the rehearsals, they like, you ain't gonna make it, you ain't gonna make it. But after that performance, they said it's like something else overcame them. It was good for me, because during that time I also was part of the youth council advisor for the youth. For me to see the youth in such a rare performance of that nature, it gave me something that our youth have it. They have it. It's just we have to allow them to showcase it. And they did that.
What the heart feels when you love something, and when you realize just how much you love what you do. And to today, at 40 years old, I still teach, I still dance, I still implement, I still make sure that I teach love, I teach spirituality, I teach movement, and I teach heart, the soul. Because every movement comes from deep within. It comes from the diaphragm, as they say. So I teach it, and I'm in love with it. It's not a job for me. This is my work. This is what I do. This is who I am. This is my way of life. And it's amazing that it trickles down, starting from Ms. Toomahyah, who actually implemented Ms. Dunham's technique and spirit of movement and spirit of dance, and putting it all together, which she became with the ethnic dance and the contemporary dance. And it trickled down to me, to which today I teach my students in the same energy, the same love, and the same passion as was taught to me.
When I look at the various members who was part of the Spirit of David, like Naomi, Kananel, Neriah, and I see the dynamics of how they evolve in dance, I only can credit that back to the teacher Toomahyah. She left a legacy, and Kananel and all those individuals who creates dance, I see it. Dance has far-reaching to expose and to explain our lifestyle than one can speak it in words behind a podium. So when we see the different dance groups here today, I can only say that I've been blessed to be able to say that I played a small role, whether it was just playing the music or make sure the props was there. Whatever it was, I know that I felt that I played a small role into making what we see today a phenomenon. And every age, when I see the little babies dancing, when I see, the middle age and adult, it gives so much joy. I think and I know that when Katherine Dunham left this earth in 2006, I think her mission was completed when she met the Spirit of David. That from that point on, she lived to see what she knew her vision could carry on. It's like Martin Luther King when he said he may not get there with us, but as the people get to the promised land. I feel that when I hear about Katherine Dunham, one who was able to take Caribbean dance, Afro-American dance, ballet, and put it into a form where you see all culture of life within those particular dances. When she seen us using all of those, not known to us as children what they was doing, but when she see that all of those particular cultures was combined in one, I know that she felt that her mission was complete and that God allowed her to see exactly what she needed to see, when she needed to see, and that she was at peace.
And happiness for every little boy and girl. You wanna go and see the capital where the kings of Africa brave. The Lord of hosts, Nasi Hashalom is his name.
In the winter of 2018, the African Hebrew Israelite Community had the distinct honor of hosting Master Dunham instructor, Miss Penny Godboldo. To the sounds of the community's master musician, Kazakia, former members of the Spirit of David Dance Theater, community members of all ages fully experienced the unique gift of a true Dunham class.
Oh,
The energy of the Spirit of David Dance Theater, Sganeet Toomahyah, Ms.Katherine Dunham, and all the dance pioneers of this mighty community will continue to shine through the youth.
Hey. Oh. D-I-N-O-N-A. Yeah, that's what I see you, Dimona. Alright, I see you, baby. Show me love. Stand up, Miss Pay. I'm on my way. Tell me if I see you. Dimona is the home of the kings. We so fly, no Red Bull wings. It can take it to the moon when starlight sings. It hits you right back like the softball team. The foundation of the kingdom where the people are free and live in harmony with a tight ecology. A true family keeping peace under lock and key. And we constantly attack when the windows are cracked. Then the wind blows temptation in, but you can never know your strength till you test it, man. Raw wheat come around, then we test your skin. That's an inside joke, no question, man. My city so hot, you gotta watch your attire. No jobs in the city, but the salt sea higher. Couldn't say it like her, had to say admire. Every girl is a supermodel hotter than Tyra. I like to take this time to give big ups to Northern Lights, I see you. A-Lot, way down south, I see you. Up top with Kaifa, I see you. Petak Tifa, put your hands up. Natanya, I see all my cities. Hey, Jerusalem, I definitely see you. D-I-N-O-N-A. That's where I stay. I see you, Dimona. Alright, I see you, baby. Hey, I'm on my way. Stand up, Tel Aviv. Dimona's my connection, you could say the real heaven. Skipped over street 6, I got my lucky number 7. From thought to reality in 45 seconds. We the answer to the questions of the world. Lay down with the devil when you wake up in hell. Remember slave ships? Does that ring a bell? Well, we back in the original city where we dwell. We all know the wall and we all know who ball. And no matter how it wobble, we don't let the city fall. We didn't know the name, so we called it Third Park. No need for a taxi when you own a go-kart. Always leave a kitty when you're playing real cards. First school I went to was Big Dushar. Check blues through my report card. Blood, sweat, and tears were put in my city. I will always remember, so please don't forget me. D-I-N-O-N-A. I miss you, Dimona. I miss the rock, man. I ain't never been a misfit like that.
So when I went to college here in Israel, so everything is really, really European based. Everything is European based. They don't really mention the origin of dance, rhythm, movement pertaining to the motherland or, the original people. So I was given this assignment to do a report on some European dancer, and I really didn't have that much connection. I couldn't really feel it, really dove myself into the project. So I went to the professor and asked her, can I choose my own dancer to do my project on? And she said, sure, who do you want to do? I said, can I do Katherine Dunham? And she said, absolutely. So I think she was kind of waiting for something like the way she said, and she was familiar with her too. And the way she said it seemed like she was kind of waiting for somebody to bring something else. So, and the fact that I actually got to meet her, so she said, absolutely. So I did my piece on Katherine Dunham. I think I got a couple of points lower than 100, so it was really, really good.